Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the City of Menasha Administration Committee meeting to order. Clerk Galeazzi, could we have roll call, please?
Alderman Kruger.
Here.
Alderman Tom Grotti.
Here.
Alderman Ted Grotti.
Here.
Alderman Rapella.
Here.
Alderman Nichols.
Here.
Alderman Taylor.
Here.
Alderman Sevenick.
Here.
Alderman Langdon.
Here.
Thank you. We have minutes to approve from the Administration Committee meeting of October 21st, 2019. Is there a motion? Alderman Rapella.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for October 21st, 2019.
Second.
We have a motion from Alderman Rapella and a second from Alderman Ted Grotti to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Our first action item this evening is to review and accept the 2018 City of Menasha Financial Audit prepared and presented by Clifton Larson Allen LLP, and Dave Mako is here this evening to walk us through that. I'm sorry, I need to turn your microphone on. There you go.
Thank you. So you have a copy of the annual financial report and management communications. Both are in a preliminary draft because they're going through our second review process, but the numbers contained within the report are accurate and verified between us and the city. And so we just wanted to present to the committee here. So the annual financial report is a representation of the City of Menasha's annual financial report as of and for the year ended December 31st, 2018. So it is a document that contains all your financial statements related to the financial reports and documents here. I just want to point out on page 1, the independent auditor's report. This is really our report to the Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. It talks about the report contains the financial statements of all your government activities, business type activities, discretely presented component unit in each remaining fund. So it really contains all the financial activities of the city for the year ended December 31st. These come directly from the financial records of the city. It also contains the financial information of Menasha Utilities that was is included as an enterprise fund. So it really includes all the financial transactions of all entities that are part of the City of Menasha. And this is the responsibility of management. So it comes directly from the financial records you receive from the finance department. Our responsibility, as outlined in the next couple of paragraphs, is really to express an opinions on the financial statements. What that means is our role is really to make sure these financial statements accurately reflect the financial position and the results of operations. On the bottom of page 1 indicates that in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. So it is an unmodified opinion. It means we would make no modifications to the report you have in front of you. If you turn to page 2, we just want to point out there was a change in accounting principles. So Government Accounting Standards Board, or GASB, sets the financial standards for financial reporting for the city. The GASB issued a new standard related to other post-employment benefits related to GASB 74 and 75. That was implemented by the city in 2018, and there was a cumulative effect of a change in accounting principles reported. The next one, I just want to point out that this is the first year that we're providing the audit under Clifton Larson Allen, or CLA. In prior years, we were the firm called Schenck. We did merge and join forces. Clifton Larson Allen is one of the larger firms in the United States, and our government practice throughout the United States represents about 25% of our business. So we're very heavily involved in the government area, and it allowed us to provide additional resources to our clients. The rest of the report just talk about that there's other supplemental information that was audited. Turning to page 4 through page 10 is what we call management's discussion and analysis. And it goes through some of the key financial indicators of the city. It is prepared by the city. And so I would encourage the city council to review it. It's well done. It is required to contain certain documents, and it does contain all the required elements of a management's discussion analysis. So kind of gives you a kind of a flavor of the significant changes in more of a narrative format. Then starting on page 11 is the statement of net position, and then page 12 is the statement of activities. So these represent the city under a full accrual. It's broken down into your governmental activities and your business type activities. So your governmental activities would be your TIF districts, your general fund, your debt service fund, your business type would be Menasha Utilities, your sewer utility, et cetera. So you can see when you're looking at total assets, the city's managing almost $146 million of assets on a historical cost basis, with about 70 or 69 million of that in government activities, and approximately 77 million in your business type. So it kind of represents a significant component of what you're managing as a city. Now, a lot of those assets are the building we're in, or the roads, or the sewer, or the electrical systems that provide services to the citizens of Menasha. But there's still values and benefits that are part of your asset structure. Liabilities actually decreased to about 64 million. Liabilities are really current liabilities and long-term obligations. You can see the decrease is really in your long-term obligations and some of your current activities. And then the bottom is your net position. You can see it increased from about 61.7 million to about 67.6. So what that increase does is it tells you that you're reinvesting in the community, and you're reinvesting in some of the capital assets and the various different infrastructures. The rest of the report goes through various different fund financial statements, and so what we do like to do is summarize some of the key information in our management communications. Does anyone have any questions on the annual financial report before we go to the management communications? Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
You didn't tell us you were switching.
Okay, okay.
So I'm like scrambling.
Sorry. So,
I didn't bring my.
So now you're moving on to
the
the
staple document.
management communications.
Yep. Okay. So let's move into the preliminary draft. It really contains all the key financial information that is in the annual report. And we'll go through some of the significant areas there. So if we turn to the staple document that you received today, like I said, it's contains all the same financial information as the annual financial report. The first couple pages 1 and 2, talk about the audit was performed in accordance with the appropriate audit standards. Those standards did not disclose any non-compliance issues with respect to any compliance with laws and regulations. If you turn to page 2, we do have one comment regarding the preparation of the financial statements. That just means the annual financial statements. We assisted the city in preparing it. They are your financial statements, but we did assist the city in preparing all the related disclosures. The city did review and approve the draft, so the city does a very nice job of going through the annual financial report and approving it, but we are required to report that. Then on bottom of page 2 and top of page 3 really talks about there's a number of estimates that are embedded in the financial statements. Our role is really to review these estimates and make sure they're reasonable and appropriate. We believe all the estimates contained in the financial statements are reasonable and appropriate. Then if we turn to bottom of page 3 to the top of page 4, really talks about how the audit went. If we'd have any significant issues in dealing with management here at the city, or any disagreements with the application of accounting principles, we would identify them here. If you go through pages 3 and 4, you'll notice the audit from our perspective went very well. We worked very closely with many of the staff members here at the city in completing your audit, and we had no disagreements or concerns with respect to the audit. Then if we turn to page 5, page 5 talks about the governmental fund balances, and so it really focuses on the various different fund balances. The first is really your general fund, which is your general operating fund. What you're looking for here is how's your overall fund balance. So you did see an increase in your fund balance of approximately $68,000 in the current year. And you can see it's broken down into non-spendable, assigned, and unassigned. So overall, an increase in your fund balance, and your current fund balance, it does represent about 12% of your 2018 budget. So a little bit of an increase there. The rest of the funds kind of go through either debt service funds. You can see you did have a decrease there. And then some special revenue funds. You can see various different special revenue funds, very consistent from last year to this year in your special revenue funds. Then if we turn to page 6, you do have a number of TIF districts that are considered capital project funds because they're within the development or incurring expenditures. You can see each of these funds, and you can see there's a couple districts that are in positive position, and a couple districts that are currently in a repayment position where expenditures have exceeded, which is very normal for TIF districts moving forward. Any questions on any of the fund balances? So overall, your overall fund balances did increase from about 2.7 to about 4.1 million. The key thing is the general fund did show an increase, so you always want to focus on your general fund or your general operations. Then on the bottom of page 6 is your debt position. You can see that your overall general obligation debt is about 31.6 million, with about 29.5 of that in your government activities, and about 2.1 million in your Menasha Utilities component. So, and included in your government activities is about 7 million that is being repaid by TIF districts.
Mr. Mako?
Yes?
Alderman Langdon has a question.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. Can we go back up to the districts, TIF districts?
Okay.
My question is, we just created a number 14 TIF district to hopefully help that area, the strip mall that's there, to help energize that and to help developers or store, whatever, people come in. How many, is there a number that maybe when you start getting up to, we're up to TIF 14, do you want to be careful of how many TIFs you create?
There's not a number per se. There's a value that the state statutes establishes, a maximum value that you can have in your TIF districts. That's really designed to make sure that you don't go too far. So you're under that value, or else you wouldn't be able to create any more new ones. And then,
Okay.
some are going off, and some, have ended their life and
Yeah.
are going through a final TIF audit. So.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. Then if you look at, legal debt margin, you can see you can borrow up to about 58.9 million. You're currently at about 31.5. So, for a while there, this was quite close to your legal debt margin. So you can see right now you have a little over 50% of your GO debt margin used. Then you can see on the bottom of page 7 the various different TIF districts and the various different either net unreimbursed or excess cost and the various related long-term debt. So like I said, nothing unusual in all those. Those are kind of a point-in-time reference, but always important to continue to manage your TIF districts.
We do have another question.
Sure.
Alderman Ted Grady.
Thank you, Chair. Just back up a little bit. On page 7, you talked about our debt that 5% that's figured is that, how is that arranged, or does that change, or is it always gonna be 5%?
The statutory limit's 5%,
It's always-
so, your value moves,
Yeah.
but the limit stays. Any other questions?
That's our accounting guy, by the way.
Okay. Okay, then if we turn to page 8, we have a couple of internal service funds. The city garage is really used to fund equipment replacement and various different uses of the equipment that the city has. You can see the 2 years have resulted in positive changes in net position. And what's important here is you're able to use cash generated from these charges to acquire additional capital assets. So during the 2018, you spent a little over 500,000 on assets using cash generated by the fund. So you're able to charge various different departments and then reinstall or repurchase new assets when you reach your useful life. So that fund has been very strong fund for the city going forward.
I do want to add a comment to that. When I first got here a couple years ago, not every city has something like this going. This is a really good thing. So I'm glad to see that I've been around a couple number other municipalities, they do not have a program like this running. They're ending up borrowing for all of their equipment. You have got something differently unique going on here. So this is a good program to have.
Okay. If we look at page 9, there's two other funds. One is the property and liability insurance. You are insured through CIVMIC. You're one of the founding members of CIVMIC. It allows you to manage your insurance claims and charges to the department. You can see overall you had a slight loss, but your net position is currently about 1.1 million in your CIVMIC plan. And then your dental stays fairly consistent in user charges and fairly consistent in operating expenses. But when you look at your fund net position, you still are in a very strong position with respect to your dental plan. Any questions on that? Okay, then the next part of the communication is really talking about new accounting standards. And so there's 2 new accounting standards that will be effective in future years. One relates to capital leases or leases, and the second relates to fiduciary activities. So these are designed to be more informational in nature. The capital lease one, if you basically the roots or the history of this all go back to FASB and actually go back to Enron. FASB struggled with leases which sets private industry standards for 10 plus years. As soon as FASB adopted some lease standards, GASB really just changed a couple words and adopted the same standards for government. So basically it'll require, if you have any significant leases or material leases, to record a right to use those assets. And the next one is just fiduciary activities and separating fiduciary activities in your financial statements. As you can see, we had no internal control items or recommendations on the city as a whole. We do a lot of work in looking at departments and various different operations within the city. And we felt that everything was working effectively for our year ended December 31st. So with that, I'll entertain any questions anyone may have.
Alderman Sevenick.
Oh, thank you. I was thinking Mayor was running the meeting. Thank you, Chair. I think you just answered my question, and that is well, this is the one question I ask of you all the time, and that is, were there areas that you think we needed to make improvements? And obviously there were no disagreements either, so sounds like
Yeah,
this worked out quite well.
very clean audit from our perspective
thank
and
you.
the staff. I mean, it takes a lot of work to put this report together.
And I know you work all really close now too with staff.
Yep.
Probably more than in the past,
Yep.
I'm guessing, so, okay.
Any other questions?
Alderman Langdon.
Thank you, Chair Becky. No, I just wanted to, it's just not this fella here, but other staff. You mentioned, are you talking about financial, like John and those guys? That they work with you, and I think and Jennifer back there, they need to be recognized also, that they worked with you and did one hell of a job again. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions.
Okay, thank
Mr.
you.
Mako, thanks for being here this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great night. We do need to accept the 2018 City of Menasha Financial Audit, and so I'll look for a motion to do that. Alderman Rapella.
Thank you very much, Alderman Nichols. I'll make a motion to accept the 2019 budget financial report that was submitted tonight.
The 2018,
2018 financial report that was audit that was submitted tonight. Thank you.
and is there a second? We have a motion by Alderman Rapella and a second by Alderman Kruger to accept the 2018 City of Menasha Financial Audit. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. The audit is accepted. Item number 2 this evening is the Department of Transportation proposal to purchase Riverview Park. Director Alex has prepared a memo for our packet this evening.
Yeah, what you have there in front of you is the agreement for purchase for sale, short form, and then the warranty deed. There is a map of the actual Riverview Park, a green space that they're looking to acquire. We'll need to do that for the Racine Street Bridge project. There was an initial offer, as you can see there, of like 29.3. When we reviewed the appraisal, we felt pretty confident in the per square foot price for the land. I did confirm that the abutting property was also compensated at that $6 per square foot price, but we did have some concerns about the site improvements. So I reached out to the DOT. We talked about benefit-based value of these trees that would end up having to be removed, somewhat subjective. They came back with cost, and then we sort of settled on the DOT's consultant for that landscape design that you guys saw, their cost, which is, I think we can plant trees for less than that. And that's what we settled on to bring forward to you folks tonight. So the offer to consider is $33.5. Again, one of the points that did come out of the discussion was the fact that we're giving up about, 4,700 square feet, but we are going to be gaining, 8,000 square foot in green space. It's not quite the same, as you can see that there is going to be some slopes there, but we are netting to the positive as far as green space down in that area.
So the recommendation this evening is to accept the Wisconsin Department of Transportation's offer to purchase Riverview Park for $33,500 and for the funds to be placed in the Park Development Fund for future park and green space acquisitions. Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion, then I have a question. So I'd like to move then that we accept the Wisconsin Department of Transportation's offer to purchase the Riverview Park parcel number 705-0001-01 for $33,500 with the funds to be placed in the Park Development Fund for future park and green space acquisitions.
We have a motion by Alderman Sevenick and a second by Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you. You had mentioned that we will be gaining the 8,000 square feet of added property. So would the 33,500 kind of be used for managing those locations as far as what we wanna do with that, and maybe even the roundabout. I don't know if either one of you guys could answer
You or me?
that.
Oh, that's a great question. We did talk about that a little bit internally, and, yeah, if there's some, amenities that can be added to that green space, the 8,000, we felt like that would probably be an appropriate use of that, some of that
Because
money.
right now, all you see is just a green block, you know, so I don't know what your plans are, so I wanna make sure that we don't just stick the 33.5 into this, I don't know, is this an existing park fund? That, it's just used for something else elsewhere, I think it should stay in this general area. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or discussion? Alderman Taylor?
I don't think I've ever seen such bad comparables in my life with these comparables that the state did. I mean, we're over in Kaukauna, down in Oshkosh, and these still aren't anywhere near the type of comparable for this property. And I think we're really getting an unfair price here by the state. I wouldn't accept these comparables if somebody was telling me this is what my land is compared with. And I guess they are telling us, because I'm sitting here. And I think the amount should be probably 3 times that amount for water. Look at the waterfront property there and what it's assessed at all the way up the river, you know. This is a park. It's a scenic overlook. When we started this bridge project, I got a card from a lady about this property. And she said she was visiting her mother in the hospital for over 2 months at Theda Clark. And she said she always appreciated getting a red light at that intersection so she could see that wonderful view. We take that view for granted, okay? But, I mean, to pull up to that light there and look up that beautiful riverfront there, and then to lose something like that for a roundabout, you know. And I'll definitely vote against this. I think my city lot on Broad Street is 24,000 or something like that, and I don't have waterfront property. And I don't care what we gain from this, we're also losing. We're losing $14,000 in taxes on the property to the north of this scenic roundabout. So I think the state did a very poor job representing this, and I vote against it.
Anything else? I want to commend you for going back and getting a few more $1,000 from the DOT. That's commendable. Seeing no other discussion, we have a motion on the floor and a second, and we'll take a roll call vote. Alderman Repella, thank you.
Motion carried on roll call 7-1.
And the final item this evening is Resolution 2419, a resolution for a continued commitment of a municipal-wide energy management policy as introduced by Mayor Merkes and recommended by Menasha Electric and Water Commission. Mayor Merkes is going to tell us more about this.
So about 10 years ago, we entered into a very similar resolution. And what this resolution allows us to do is be eligible for grants from both Focus on Energy as well as WPPI to increase energy efficiency throughout our community. And you can see from the projects that are listed within the packet that you received, we ended up saving about 1.5 million kilowatt hours of electricity a year by those improvements that we placed. The estimated value of that electricity, if we were to purchase that every year, is about $115,000 at current rates. So that's a fairly substantial amount of money that we're saving every year, and we hit about 30% reduction. What we're asking for is to re-up for the same type of situation. We looked at some of the other projects that we might be able to do in the next 5 years and reduce our electric use about 1% a year. And if we looked at these projects, most of them are street lighting projects still. Those are the ones that really have a lot of bang for the buck. We could do about half of these projects and hit that 1% goal. So what we're recommending is that we approve the resolution and continue working on these energy-saving projects through the next 5 years. This doesn't commit us to this, but it does say that we're going to be working towards that, and we want to continue working towards reducing our electric usage and our costs within the community.
Thank you, Mayor. There is not a motion yet. When there is a motion, we can entertain discussion. Alderman Rapella.
Good, I'll make a motion for, to accept resolution R 24-19, a resolution for the continued commitment of a municipal-wide energy management policy introduced by Mayor Merkes, recommended by the Menasha Electric and Water Commission.
We have a motion by Alderman Rapella and a second by Alderman Kruger to recommend to council resolution 2419. Alderman Severnick.
Thank you. I'm going to ask for some liberties here on my comments. Some of it pertains to the communication that we got in our packet earlier about the hydro. If we really want to focus on energy and care about energy resources, I think we have to do things better. I strongly believe a hydro plant is needed in the city of Menasha, and I believed in that before the steam plant. And I was told it's too expensive and it doesn't save us any money, but $41 million later put us in a hole by going towards steam. We keep going towards the same type of policies with energy we don't care about so much as we still are looking at coal, we're still looking at oil, we're still looking at fossil fuel type energy resources because they're cheaper for us. But to have a real impact, I think we need to look at new technologies are out there. That report did not look at those new technologies that we have. That report was based on 2012 technology, and that probably was further back, probably 2000 technology. So I feel very strongly about that. I appreciate the mayor bringing this resolution forward and taking these small steps, but I really think WPPI and the Menasha Utilities needs to take a stronger position and not always just look at the cost. This country is facing issues with infrastructure. I think that we should do everything possible that the federal government start taking serious other energy sources such as solar and hydro. And I think we are losing billions of dollars, not millions, billions of dollars here in the Fox Valley area because we don't harness the energy that comes down our rivers because we don't want to spend the money to build a hydro plant. And yes, that it is expensive. In that report, it indicated, more than $11 million. So thank you, Chair, for giving me some liberty to speak on this. I feel very strongly about this, and I appreciate the mayor's resolution and bringing this forward and taking small steps.
Alderman Langdon.
Thank you, Chair. You can stop me anytime if I'm off base. But I would like to piggyback off of Alderman Severnick. We have a gem, and I don't know if any of you know, I know you know, James, Mathewson Street, is that the one that goes to the, well, anyway, you go down to the river, and that guy that lives at the end there, I've talked to him numerous times, and every time he always complains about, look at that. And that water's rushing what? A lot. So that was just part of the hydro that, thank you, Chair.
Seeing no other discussion, we will take a roll call vote.
Motion carried on roll call 8-0.
Thank you, Clerk, and with that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Alderman Kruger, second by who over there? Alderman Ted Grady. All in favor signify by saying aye. We are adjourned.